other forms of research. I'm going to discuss some of the different types of research that we haven't looked at so far, and discuss any pros and cons, and kind of see which types of research complement each other and what might be a bit too similar. So first up is experiments, which is kind of a way of looking to improve your results. Now I think the pros about this is that if you do find experiments that can improve your results, it's great because that means your results are now more validated, and more they have more it can back up your theories and hypotheses a bit more, and just give you kind of more solidarity. Yeah, I think that's the word. But you get my gist. Also, it means that you have more to offer and that you've gone that extra mile. So yeah, I think cons about it though is that it can be very time consuming, constantly searching for ways to improve your results if you already have quite good results. Also, you never know what these experiments might include, which can be very kind of scary for a company if they're very traditional and very set in their ways, and it could also backfire. So yeah. The next one is participant observation or observation, which is basically where a researcher observes what happens in real time. I guess the pros about this is you get to see your results in real time and get to see what happens if it actually happened, and see people's kind of genuine reactions. I think the cons about this is that you wouldn't be able to get it to a mass majority. It'd have to be a small group, and also it's very similar to what focus groups are about, because you get a small group of people with a researcher, and you're recording what happens basically. So whilst I think it could complement each other, it might be a bit too similar. Historical research is looking at research that has been done before, and is historical information. It's very similar to it's a primary source, and it's usually done in sort of like the first rounds of research. It can be very reliable, and also you just know it's going to be true because it's history. However, where it's not instant and it's a lot of reading, and if you're not committed, you are going to perhaps find it quite boring, and yeah, it's quite a lot to digest and quite a lot to put in as well. However, it does validate your results just that little bit much. I think it could complement quite well with finding sources, and yeah, it can also complement secondary research as well. So yeah, comparative analysis is where you get two or more products or alternatives or whatever, and you kind of compare the two with a group of people, and it can be very useful because you can see if you have two alternative branding to one product, you can see which one consumers respond more to. You can it's just about seeing which one the mass prefer, and then if there's any more you can do to improve on that, taking it on board, and using that in your results, and then coming out with a better product. However, the only kind of cons I can think about is that, again, it's very similar to observation. It's also very similar to, it could complement, don't get me wrong, it could complement using social media as a form of research, just seeing how people respond and such. A/B testing is, again, testing. It's very, very similar to comparative analysis. It's basically where you kind of test changes out, and trying to, like, I don't know, it's kind of very touch and go, and it's mostly used in web development as well as online marketing. It's very controlled, and the thing that I think is is kind of a con is that sometimes it can be done very randomly, and that can be very off-putting to your results, if that makes sense. I think it does. And also, it's very, very similar to comparative analysis as well. However, you are trying to get different results for different things, if that makes sense. Where A/B testing is more online, comparative analysis you can do to pretty much anything. But yeah, I think, again, it's another one that could complement social research, social media research. In-depth interviews, again, is interviews. Oh, also, before I leave off on A/B testing, there's a couple of companies that offer it. However, looking at some of their prices, it's very, very pricey, so it's not very cost effective as well. In-depth interviews is where you have one-on-one interviews with either a demographic or a group of people, and this is good because you can get honest answers out of people. It makes people feel like they can talk to you more because it's in a more open environment. You just kind of see people's genuine reactions, and it's very validating. However, you do have to be careful about the way you ask things and about the way you come across, as that could affect the way people respond to you. Also, it could take a while to gather people to get to do the face-to-face interviews. Also, you don't know what a person is going to be like on the day, so they could be having a really good day and just be really happy about everything, or they could be having the worst day ever and just be like, no. Which, of course, is very tricky for results, because they might not be as genuine as you think. Again, also, it's very time consuming, and yeah, it's very similar to focus group, and I think it's not too similar that you'd get confused between the two. It's much more kind of, they'd complement each other, because you're getting responses out of people, and you can compare the responses as well. Next one is secondary research, which is kind of like you getting a summary of your hypothesis and just kind of backing up your primary research. The pros of this, of course, again, it gives you more validation for your results. It makes your results stronger. You get more quantity and more quality as well. And yeah, the cons are that it's it's you have to be very careful in kind of what you try and get out of secondary research, and it's very tricky to do sometimes, and it's all about finding out what works and what doesn't work. I think it's very similar to experiments, but it's not, again, it's one of them ones where it's not too similar. So yeah, that's what I think.